You're welcome. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana, and we'll continue to discuss some of the issues that are coming up within the country. And that the one that we are focusing on this afternoon has to do with the Mills Memorial, Atta Mills Memorial, the late president. So there's a bit of a back and forth discussion or complaints from family members. Koko Anyido has had an exclusive with Metro TV as well. We're hoping to speak with him going forward. But also on the program today, we'll be talking to Professor Dr. Engineer Henry Ni Jury Wellington as well, and also the Theophilus Donko, who is a private legal practitioner, to let us understand the legalities involved in some of these issues coming up. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. I am Annie from Pofo. Let's go for a breather. We'll be back and get into the issue. All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and we're dealing with the issue of the Atta Mills Memorial, and that has to do with Asomdwee Park specifically. If a president dies and he is the, of course, the, property of the state, and the state will have to be taking care of this president, how is it done? How does the family come into any arrangements that's done for the late? And in the case of any arrangements that has to do with the Memorial Park as being done to that of the late President Atta Mills, how or what's the best way of doing it? We will be dealing with that. And then maybe when we have some time, we'll ask questions about also the Nkrumah Mausoleum. Some of the discussions have come up about the fact that that mausoleum was actually dedicated specifically for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Now, there's an arrangement of, from government side to revamp the mausoleum to boost tourism, but there's also a hint of bringing some other leaders of this country to, also to be laid by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Is it the right thing to do? I mean, why are people not happy about it? Let's see. If we have time, we'll get into it. But already in the studio, I have Theophilus Donko, who's a private legal practitioner with me. I'll be speaking with Professor Engineer Henry Ni Jury Wellington as well, and also later on, Koko Anyido, who's the founder and CEO of Atta Mills Institute. We'll speak to him later. But lawyer, thank you for your time, and good afternoon to you. You're welcome to the show. All right. So first, let's know what we are getting wrong legally.
Legally, what we are getting wrong is that the body of a deceased person in law belongs to the family. So it is the family that will have to deal with the body of the deceased. But we are talking about, at the time, the first gentleman of the Republic and the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces at the time, before he passed on. So I think that all these things that we are doing, and for the fact that the family will come out to complain and ask questions about where is the body of their beloved father, son, uncle, or whatever it is, I think as a state we have had it wrong. From what we are reading and what the commentary from the family, the complaints that we have received. Because if the body of the deceased belongs to the family, then the family at any point in time should know where the body is, because that is their property. Mm-hmm. Everybody will have to own, take possession, control, and have authority of what belongs to that person. So if it is being taken away from them, then they have a legitimate complaint that they are making to the public. This particular case is unique in the sense that because he's a former president, the state would like to accord him certain respect, dignity, and certain treatment. So if the state decides to do that, it must be in conjunction with the family. The state cannot unilaterally be doing something different from what the family. So if the families are complaining about the whereabouts of the late president, professor, then I think that they have a genuine cause of action against all of us as a state.
I don't know how the legal framework will play in the politics of this matter. I mean, I don't know if I should describe Koku Anyidoho as somebody who's broken away from his party or has fallen out with his party, and therefore the man that he loyal in a loyal way served seemed to have been so attached to him and even his remains, and it's become a tussle. Why must that become a tussle? I can't understand how this thing is working out.
I think it is.
I mean, because regardless any understanding or misunderstanding you have with any person, when a person dies in our Ghanaian society, the processes is the procedures and the processes are different, regardless whatever beef you have with any person.
If you ask me my candid opinion, I think that it is a matter of politics and power play. Somebody wants to be seen to be more attached to the late professor than any other person. But I think that anybody who had had an encounter with the late professor will have some attachment to him. So I think that we should, as a state or as a nation, we shouldn't have come this far. Once the state decided that, we have agreed that we'll bury Atta at this particular point, I think that the state should have taken responsibility as to how the Asomdwee Park is managed and the way it should be managed at any time in point. So I think that as a state, we have all failed in that regard. For the family to be having a tussle or Kwaku Enyidoho to be seen to be taking over the mortal remains of the late professor, I think that it is a matter of politics. I will explain the reason why I say it is a matter of politics. In between the NDC, it is politics. And between the NDC and the MPP, it is politics. I will explain. Kwaku Enyidoho appears to be a breakaway person or not in good terms with the NDC. But you want to hold on to something that belongs, the NDC sees as their own.
That the NDC brought out?
The NDC brought out. From nowhere, the NDC picked from Professor Mel from the lecture room through to now GRA to become the vice president and the president. So the NDC sees Atta as their own, but Kwaku also felt that I work closely with Atta. I was with him all the time, and therefore I have some entitlement. So if you look at it, Kwaku Enyidoho has established, he says, the Atta Institute. The NDC in itself has also established a memorial lecture in memory of the late professor. So I think that is where, between the NDC itself, that is where the politics is being played out. And if you look at between the NDC and the MPP, NDC feels that Atta belongs to us. He's our own. So the state, the government now is MPP. So the state cannot do as they please. They must also be consulted. But I think in all these things, the family has a better say than all of us. We can only, as a state, negotiate with the family. So at any point in time, the family must know the state of the body of the late professor.
So, okay, in this case, we seem to have the NDC. We have Koku.
Yes.
We have the family, and we have the state.
That is so.
These are the four
factions,
playing some sort of politics around the remains of the prof. How does the NDC come in? Because he is now a state property in consultation with family. So how does the NDC come in all of this? The address was given by Samuel Atta in Parliament yesterday, who is brother to the late, but also a member of the NDC. How can we detach these two?
It will be extremely difficult to detach the NDC, and particularly the brother, from the body of the late professor. But what I must state authoritatively is that the body in law belonged to the family.
Regardless who the person was?
Regardless at the time of his death, what the person was. But what is unique about this particular case, as I have stated earlier on, because he was a sitting president at the time. So the state will have to accord him certain respect. That is why the state has taken upon itself to create the park and all these things. But what I'm saying is that all these things cannot be done saying that, oh, because he was a president, he belongs to the state and not the family. And then the issue about the NDC vis-a-vis the brother who is an MP, who is an NDC MP. So for sure, there will be that tension between the NDC and the state. There is no doubt about that. Because we have seen the antagonistic nature of the two political parties. And this is somebody the NDC feels that belongs to us. And the government also sees it as that I am the government. I am in charge of affairs. So we want to determine what should be done. So that is where I have my difficulty, where Kweku Anyidoho seems to be playing a center stage or has become a faction in this particular case. And looking at the nature and the demeanor of the late professor when he was alive, I don't think at this stage we should have four factions fighting over who...
At this point in time, we cannot even, plead to their sentiments and their emotions. It looks as though the law must kick in.
That is so. That is where the family... I'm not on this platform giving them legal advice, but once I know the family will take steps to make sure that the right thing is done in terms of whatever the state or whoever want to deal with the body must do it with consultation with the family. You cannot ignore the family and be seen to be ahead or the
So let's
spokesperson.
listen to Samuel Atta first. I'm sorry, lawyer, I'll come back to you. This is the family, Samuel Atta. This is, the brother. And this is what he said.
Apparently, a group calling itself Atta Institute that the family doesn't recognize, and Coastal Development Authority have gone to break this grave of President John Evans Atta Mills. They have removed the tomb, and what they've done is they claim that they are rebuilding it. Now, my question is this: we have traditions. Why would you go and touch somebody's grave without informing the family? Now, the question I want to ask is this: now that you've gone to touch it, is the body still in that grave? What did you put in that grave? What kind of rituals did you perform over there? Why would you go and touch the grave without informing us? Who has the body now? And that is a question that I want to ask Ghanaians. Who has the body now? Coastal Development Authority. Under whose authority did you do this? Why do you always want to make us go through grief every time? Now you allow someone like Kweku Anyidoho, that buffoon, working with Atta Mills Institute, so-called.
Okay, so that's Samuel Atta Mills. Some of the challenges he had, and expressing that.
It is a legitimate claim the MP is making, that this is something that belongs to them. It is in the care of the state, as we all know. Then all of a sudden, one person comes out to say that I'm renovating the place, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So I think that the questions he has asked, the state will need to answer those questions. Where is the body? Or why were you undertaking such a development or something without informing the family? It is fundamental, it is basic. Every lawyer knows that the body of the deceased belongs to the larger family.
So since we still admit that the state also has, some locus in a situation like this, can the state issue a contract to any, organization as they have?
Without the consent of the family, the state cannot not do that because it is their property. Let's assume the phone you are using, because of your work relationship with Metro TV, Metro TV decide to communicate to you on that phone. A Metro TV on their own cannot decide as to how you should use the phone that you are holding because it is your property. It belongs to you. So the same way the body of the deceased belonged to, but based on the stature of him at the time he died, the state cannot look unconcerned and say that we are allowing the family alone to. You realize that the burial, the funeral and the burial, everything was done in consultation with what? The family.
Right.
You see the family get involved at the time. And all that is why the second aspect of it comes in. This memorial lecture or whatever the last time they did, you realize that the government wasn't part of it. And I think that it is because of the nature of Atta Mills itself, it puts a lot of votes. Mm-hmm. So that is why the politics has come into it. So sympathizers of Atta Mills would like to vote according to a certain line based on the way he's been treated after his death. So the politicians are looking at that and they want to take advantage of it. Kwakwa Nyindo has fallen out of the NDC. So how does it appeal to the general public? So that is what he's trying to do, using the Atta Mills factor to be able to appeal to the conscience of the state. That look, this is somebody who belongs to a political party. After his death, I have instituted an NGO. I'm doing A, B, C, D. I'm making sure the Asomdwee. There are instances he has gone to the Asomdwee park and taken pictures and tweets and said all sort of things.
The state of the
Asomdwee park. So these are appealing to our emotions as a nation. So that is where the politics between the NDC and Kwakwa Nyindo comes in, which I believe strongly that looking at the demeanor and the nature of Atta Mills when he was alive, all these things should not be happening. We should not use the death of the professor as a political gain or as a political to win favor to a particular group of person or persons. It is highly unacceptable. And if you look at the interview the MP granted to the media, he said that it is causing them grief. When there's these things, as a family, you remember, you begin to think about it. I think that at a point in time, when you lose a loved one, when at times we will heal, as time is going on, you will heal. But when these things are coming up, definitely the family will continue to grieve. And the whole nation will begin to grieve as well. People will begin to ask questions. That is why this afternoon, Metro TV has allocated time and we are discussing this issue. But the fact that we don't discuss it, then the family and the whole nation will begin to forget about it gradually. But the more these things come up, I try to look at when Kwakwa Nyindo tweet. I'm not a Twitter fan, but I asked somebody to check the following. You realize that people were tweeting, people were following. So it means that it is big for the politicians. Politicians are always looking for an opportunity. So my advice is that as a state, people who we describe as statesmen begin to intervene and let the parties begin to have a sit down and let them talk about this thing and see how best. We are saying that we are driving tourism. We want more people to come to our nation to come and observe some of these things. So I think that tourism on top of it is the state that sit and drive these things. So I think that the parties, the four factions, begin to sit down and begin to have a talk as to how this matter should be resolved, especially in consultation with the family. The state should sit down with the family and say that, look, this thing will bring tourists to the country. People will be attracted, even within. So this is what we want to do. Then they sit down and talk about it. But today, at every anniversary, there's a misunderstanding. I remember last year when the NDC instituted the lecture where Mr. Mpieni spoke. Kwame Mpieni spoke. I realized that when you go to social media at the time, people were trying to throw jabs at the NDC. People were saying that they are using it as a political tool, including Kwakwa Nyindo himself. I think that if I were Kwakwa Nyindo, when I saw the NDC organizing that memorial lecture, I would have been part of it. Because, if you ask me my reason, because if we all mean well for the late professor, we should all put ourselves together and do it so that it will be nice and so that there should be some glory.
But you see, the truth of the matter is that any political party that institutes a memorial lecture in the name of its past leader is political. It's not even an insult if you tell them, oh, you're using it as a political tool. Yes, it has to be a political tool because the person represented something which that political party he or she belonged to values and does not want it to die out. And so if the person, I'm sorry about that, if the person is appealing to was appealing to certain sentiments when he was alive, it's only prudent for the party to continue to keep him alive, even though he's no more with us physically. Did you get my point?
Yes.
So even those who try to troll, if the Dankwa Institute is there, you know what it does? It's a memorial institute. So which memorial institute again do we have? Some of the leaders who have passed.
We have the JB Dankwa.
JB Dankwa. I'm sure they're going to do, yes, I'm sure they're going to do Rollins Memorial pretty soon or something of that nature. It is a political tool. I don't know how else anybody will want to describe it. Any memorial instituted in the name of a past leader of a political party is a political. I don't know. I don't know how else
So,
anybody you want to see it as a leadership lecture. Yes, leadership lecture is politics. It's still politics, and we're talking partisan politics. Yeah.
You see, this particular one is unique in the sense that if you look at the other memorial lectures that have been instituted, you realize that the body of the disease is not an issue. And the political parties take control or charge of those lectures, as we have seen over the years. But in this particular case, you realize that the more reason why we are discussing this issue, I believe strongly, is because the family is raising a lot of issues.
Right.
That is where the disagreement emanates from, if you ask me of my view. It is not more about the lecture or whatever
No.
somebody is doing in recognition of the late professor. But you realize that this one is centered around the body of the disease. And I will give you an instance. And I will tell you the reason why I believe that it is being used politically, but I think it is not being used correctly. If you look at the library that has been established for the late professor, if you look at the state of the library, it is not something that we can show on TV, or if we are showing it, it means that we are showing it as a bad news, that something is not going on right. So we have left the library that is supposed to achieve a particular purpose, where he comes from, the area, the community, should benefit from the use of the library. We are not concerned about that. But we are concerned about the memorial lecture and the body. So I think that we can use it, the NDC can use it as a political gain or as a political tool very well when they get involved and begin to look at the other things that has been done in memory of the late professor. So I believe that I want to encourage the NDC to go and look at the library and renovate the library or bring it up to the state that when anybody walks in there, he will see something about the late professor. He can read something about the late professor. And not anybody think that as a state, he or she is more attached to Atta Mills than any other person. Atta Mills has had a good life on the University of Ghana campus. I have encountered him. And the way I encountered him, I will never forget the way I encountered the late professor. So nobody should think that because I work personally directly with the president, so I have a special attachment and I want to be doing something exceptional. Nobody can do something exceptional with the property of a family. So I think that, as I said earlier on, that the family, the NDC, Kwaku Enyidoho, and then the state, somebody should begin to be calling a meeting for the four of them to sit down and have a discussion as to how best, especially the body of the late professor. As for the memorial lecture, the NDC has started it. Nobody can take it away from them. So that one, there's no so much issue about it. But where the body is kept, as to how the place, who will manage the place. So does that mean, I want to ask a question? There were no security people there who could cross-check from the state
But at this point in time, the state is taking over. The state or the establishment seems to be in agreement, and I'm saying this advisedly, seem to be in agreement or on the side of Koku, because on regular basis, Koku has been visiting the president. He seemed to be in a good accordance with them. They seem to be supporting him, even in this area of Atta Mills's memorial, whatever activity he wants to carry out. So I want to believe that the establishment is on the side of Koku. So if there is a security, which the indication is that this has been given to the contract has been given from the state to the NGO to renovate the tomb, which gave rise to these concerns from the family members. And if there are security, they don't have an issue if the state has given you an approval to work on it.
Before I comment, I want to issue a caveat that I have not seen the contract the state awarding it to. And if the state is awarding such a contract, at least the Public Procurement Act gives certain guidelines. Procedures. At least we should have seen it that they have published it, that the state want to award this contract to ABCD. We are all saying that sourcing should be avoided as much as we can. As much as from where you are coming from, that the establishment or the state is in a way endorsing whatever Kwaku is doing, that is where the friction will come the more. Mm-hmm. Because the brother or the family appears to have been aligned with the NDC. When the brother was having the press conference, I believe that it was at the premises of Parliament.
Yes, it was the premises
of
Parliament.
I saw the NDC MPs, especially I can talk about the
Neil and
Van der Poel, even showing the state of the renovation that is going on. Mm-hmm. So if that begins to happen, it means that the state the family has aligned itself with the NDC, because that is where they feel belonged. When the man was alive, he was an NDC. So that is where they have aligned. So now, if the state is agreeing with Kwaku, then the friction is going to be more. And if you look at the might of the NDC against that of Kwaku, even though the state is supporting him in the dark, definitely, I believe that the NDC will triumph in this regard. But if the state should openly support whatever is going on there in consultation with the family, I think that the state will have a better place to regulate the place. But if the state want to do it with all the good intent, but taking away the family from that discussion or whatever is going on, will bring more friction. So I want to say that the state should engage the family and Kwaku Anyidoho together, so that they all know that this is what we are doing. Now, the question the family is asking is very critical. They are alleging that they don't even know where the body is.
In fact, that's where the sensitivity arises.
That is where it is. And these are legitimate questions. And these are not questions that should be asked in the open. It means that a lot of things has gone on. I believe that if the state was in contact with the family wouldn't have come out.
In fact, he goes on to mention that what rituals were performed at the tomb or the tomb site. Yes. Uh-huh.
You know that every family, they have their own way of building a tomb or renovating it. When it is being done, there are certain communities, rituals are performed. Christians also go along with their pastors and other things. So you see, the body of the late professor must be seen as, in quotes, belonging to the state. But the family has so much attachment to him. Okay. Because he came to public life after over 50 years. So the family he has been with the family all this while. He has been with friends, lecturers. He has been with other people. So when he came into public life, those of us who have known him in public life cannot say that we are more attached than the family. The things he was doing for the family, he was not doing it to all of us. So there is a lot of attachment
your
to
8 years or 4 years or 10 years couldn't have been.
And if you look at the time Professor Mills, Kwaku Anyidoho left the bank to come and join Professor Mill, people have been with Professor Mill all this while. If you look at Mr. Hoy's book, Working with Rollins, you realize that they brought him. It means that they were at Legon campus doing their own thing. They brought him. So nobody seems to, because of the attachment, because the family has so much attachment to the body of the deceased than any of us.
Okay, I have a lot of messages coming through, but let's go to another video. My producer has been trying to reach Koku. He agreed to speak to us, but we can't seem to get through his phone. However, we caught up with him earlier on at the Asomdwee Park, and these are what he said.
I would want your initial reactions to the statement made to some pressmen at the Parliament House by brother of your very good friend and boss, late John Evans Fifi Atta with regards to what is happening here at Asomdwee Park.
Well, I don't intend to respond to him. The important thing is that you can see Asomdwee Park is being constructed by the state. President Mills painfully passed on the 24th of July 2012. We laid him to rest on the 10th of August 2012. It was the Republic, the state, that laid him to rest. I respect President Mills. He gave me an opportunity. I respect the Atta Mills family. But if Sami Atta Mills in the last 10 years has failed to honor the memory of his brother, and some of us are doing it, maybe he should be humble enough to thank us and not be upset and envious. But for me, I thank God. I thank God and I thank President Akufo-Addo for doing it.
Okay. Was the family in any way contacted before this was done?
Did you see the press conference yesterday? Apart from Sami Atta Mills, did you see any family there? Was it not politicians? So they want to play politics with the death of President Mills? I don't want to play politics with it. For me, I'm in service to God and country. President John Mahama was the president when we laid the late President Mills to rest. Is that not it? So today, if there's another president and he's also honoring the memory of the late president, what is my crime? It's not about politics. It's about the Republic of Ghana, and that's all I seek to do, to serve the nation. So let them play their partisan politics. But on Sunday, the 24th of July, Ghanaians shall see what it is that the Lord has done at Asomdwee Park.
That's suffice to say that the family were contacted in a way, and Samuel Atta Mills wasn't in the know the reason why he granted that press conference.
Forget about him. Forget about Sami Atta Mills. Why? Yeah. It was in this castle that I worked with his brother. Who was Sami Atta Mills in the equation? Who was he? Did you ever hear of him? Did you have any official letter to say he was appointed to any position? So you want to appropriate the legacy of your brother, but you won't build Asomdwee Park. Ignore him. I don't want to waste my time on it.
Are you saying the family were contacted? Any member of the family?
Lots of the members of the family. But because of respect for each and every one of them, I will not mention names. I will not mention names.
How do you respond to allegations that the body of the late president has been exhumed from the...
How? Even in our own small ways, as families, as groups, as organizations, don't we do tombstones to remember the dead? And when we are doing it, do we exhume bodies? Do we? We don't. That's all we have done, to build a nice resting place for the president. Nobody has touched anybody. National security owns this place. 24 hours, they are here. So I came with a pickaxe and a Sophie and a jigger, and I came to exhume the body and carried it on my back and took it away. It's ridiculous. It's not possible. It's not true. But I think I just put it out somewhere that if enemies don't attack, faith is not tested. If enemies don't attack, faith is not tested.
Finally, before I let you go, the NDC in a statement have said that the Asomdwee Park doesn't belong to you.
It does not. I've never said Asomdwee Park belongs to me. I have never appropriated Asomdwee Park. I have never. Doesn't belong. It's true. Doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the Republic of Ghana. But I'm happy that I've led a certain charge and a certain crusade to build Asomdwee back. God knows my heart. So it's true. It doesn't belong to me. And I've never said it belongs to me. It's okay.
How do you respond to the allegations that they are making?
What do they want me to say? It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the Republic. So it's okay. Somebody must do it. I've done it. Today I said somewhere, tomorrow morning, I'm prepared to be at Teshi firing range. Let me be shot dead for building Asomdwee Park. Let me be shot dead for building Asomdwee.
How do you respond to allegations or threats that they would want to sue you for taking this, action?
How do you sue me for building a state monument? Since when did it become illegal for an NGO to collaborate with government for a good cause? Since when? What are they called? NGOs? So we can't all be in government. So it's non-governmental. And you're working with government and it's a crime. That fake memorial heritage. Tell them to go and build the library in Cape Coast. If they really want to uphold the heritage of the president, the late president, they should go and build the Cape Coast Library and stop disturbing my equilibrium.
So are you calling them, are you calling their bluff for saying that they are going to sue you?
Can they? Over what? And what will be the charge? What will be the charge? Sue me for doing national work. That's up to them. But forget about Atta Mills.
That's Kokonyidoho there, having an exclusive with my colleague, Henry Kwesibedu, who's also my producer. So fortunately, we caught up with him earlier, and since we're not getting him on phone, I think it's interesting to have gotten him captured on tape. You saw the body language.
I'm a little bit worried.
Okay.
In the sense...
Hold on. My producers want me to take a quick breather. Let me just go back. You have messages coming through. I hope I'll get the time to capture all before we wrap up. Let's go and take a breather and be back shortly. Welcome back. I'm still with Theophilus Donko, who is a private legal practitioner with me. I'm unable to also raise Professor Doctor and Engineer Henry Ni Eji Wellington, but we still have the conversation we've heard from Kokonyidoho also on the screen. You said you were worried, but okay. Let me take a few messages because I have a lot with me. I'm sorry, let me just capture a few. This one says that... Good afternoon, Benson from Koforidua says that Koku has done well for fighting for the renovation of Asomdwee Park. The NDC should rather collaborate with him and make things better. Interesting topic to discuss today. I have questions. What's Koku Anyidoho's interest in this? What is he holding on to that he can't say to the public? Is there a secret he holds regarding the death of President Mills and his fallout with the NDC? Elton McCarthy Hill sent that in. Good afternoon, Annie and the lawyer. It's sad that we're here today as a people, but amidst all this, it's Koku Anyidoho who must be blamed. The fact that he was a director of communications at the presidency for the late president does not give him a de facto right to do what he's doing. He, Koku Anyidoho, became director of communication at the presidency at the time because of the political vehicle called NDC. He should stop behaving too pitiful. He don't own the late Professor Mills than anyone. Thank you, Honorable Ali Tuwa is sent that in. Daniel Yeboah says that my question is, when was the last time the NDC took it upon themselves to go and weed the Asomdwee Park? Ever since the late PRO Mills died, the NDC party have forgotten about whatever he even did for the nation. And if they really cared about the late Professor Mills, they would have done something about it. So they should stop that hypocrisy. Koku Anyidoho has done nothing. Good afternoon, Annie. I blame the family for leaving the body to the state, perhaps Koku Anyidoho. We're told to honor our heroes and state and the state, in this case, the government, must not engage with pettiness that will water down people's contribution. It has a potential of repeating itself. Other heroes may take same in the future. The government must up her game. I am Kipo Elijah Bakari from Sola, Tuna, Kalba, okay, Savannah region. We're told to honor our hero. Okay, I've read this one already. Great show, Annie. Just arrived from UK and watching your show live. I think the NDC should be careful with a guy called Koku Anyidoho. Say hi to Dr. Randiabe. Dr. Bill sent that in. Good afternoon, doctor. Alan Koku has a deceased daughter. So will he be happy if just anyone to that go to the tombstone of his own daughter, or do that to the tombstone of that of his daughter? He is biting more than he can chew. I don't see why an Ewe man is so much involved in the Fanti people. He should leave the body to the family, and anything he wants to do there, it must be in consultation with the family. The president is just a divisive person, and not a unifier. People are grabbing important sectors in the economy. It's a graveyard that he decided to settle on. A curse or what? It's sad. GAG, good afternoon, Ghana. You say Koku should give us a break. You only know that the man, not more than 20 years, yet you want to claim ownership of the man. Professor Tamils is not a family or your property. It's not. I'm not getting this one. Government is careful. Okay, let me skip this one. So the fact that Sami was not appointed by his brother does not make Koku close to the late president than his brother. That's the statement Koku made that surprised me.
I think that Koku
That he said that the brother was not appointed. Who was he? And that's his blood brother.
He's laboring under a wrong impression. I think that he feels that the body of the late professor belonged to the state. And even at this stage, if he's talking about having had a relationship with the president in his official capacity as a spokesperson for the president, that office, you have since left that office. So you cannot rely on that office and be doing whatever you claim you are doing. I think that he's trying to, I think that somebody should talk to Koku, that what you are doing, you are not helping the family.
No, but in this state, my difficulty is that the state is assisting him. He said it in the video that national security is here. So under what circumstances did the state give him the right to go to the tomb? Do you understand my point? And renovate the tomb, where his blood brother comes up and says, why didn't you consult us? We asked him, which family member did you consult? He said, for respect of them, he wasn't going to put out the names. But because of the legalities, like I said, we no more can appeal to your conscience. We can only kick in the legal. So for legal reasons, you have to mention now names of family members you really consulted. We now don't even have to deal with Koku. It's now a matter of asking the state what processes, and like you said.
I think that Koku is doing all these things. The posturing we are seeing is because he feels that he has the backing of the state. That is why he is saying that we should even forget about the MP, Samuel Atamos. Because for the past 10 years, we have all known that he is the spokesperson when it comes to the issue of the late president. He has been speaking, apart from the son occasionally speaking, he is the person who has been speaking on behalf of the family. So for you to come and say that, I listened to the video and you realize that I was shocked. For him to say that the brother has not honored the memory of his brother, and then that the NDC is jealous of what he's doing. Once they have buried the late president where it's considered as a security zone, the NDC as a party cannot be going there regularly, unlike the way Koku...
Because it's now being monitored by the state.
So the NDC will be very careful not to inflate.
So someone sent this text message. It says that if Mills was buried in the family cemetery, could Koku attempt going there?
No, he dare not. The state cannot be doing that. So I think that there was a texter who said that the state the family made a mistake by allowing the body of the late to be buried at the Asomdwee Park. If the family had insisted that this is where we want to bury our deceased family member, the state couldn't have done otherwise.
Anything about it.
Anything about
Oh,
it. So
but we had the same issue rising with the issue of Rollins when he passed.
they had gone to
the family
court-
was also demanding, but the state didn't listen.
if they had gone to court, I think that based on precedent,
They could have claimed.
they could have claimed, because the position of the law is that it is the larger family that is supposed to honor, bury the deceased, because it is their property.
yeah.
If you look at the cases that have gone to court, you realize that it is the wife and the children who normally will go to court to take the body. But the court has been consistent, saying that the body belongs to the family. But the children, because they are family members, must be involved in whatever processes that will lead to the laying of the person, the burial,
Not
and
the
honoring.
siblings. The law doesn't, it's not explicit on the siblings.
No, siblings. I'm saying that the law is that because the children of the deceased automatically becomes members of the family, the court says that they must be involved in whatever decision. And we know that our family setting is the head of family or the principal members or the family that meets to take a decision. So for Kwaku to be saying that, forget about this person, it is wrong. I think that somebody should talk to him. Whoever is empowering Kwaku should know that he is not helping Kwaku to create a good image. He is not helping Kwaku to divide a family or to bring friction into a family. I think that when family members are at least, when you loved ones, you don't easily forget. But with time, events will remind you, but not this kind of events that the family will.
According to the law, when the family has to be consulted on issues like these, does it specify on who? Does it specify, say, for example, the head of the family, or like you said,
the law is
the
that
siblings the children must be involved. But does this, go specific on who specifically in the family must be consulted?
No, the family. So in law, it is said that the body of the deceased belongs to the family. That is the underlying factor. Yes. So every property of the family, in the most of the cases, it was contended that because PNDC Law 11 makes provision for the immediate family, that is the children and the wife, a larger chunk of the person's property, they believe that the body is also part of the property, but the court said no. Right. It is not the self-acquired property of the deceased person, but it belongs to the family. And we also know that all properties belonging to the family is vested in the head of family.
Yeah.
And then in instances where the head of family has failed to act, members of the family can act and go to court and enforce a particular right. So in this case, if Samuel feels that the head of family is not acting, he can go to court and say that the head of family is not acting.
But maybe the family may have appointed him to even lead the family
I'm
because
saying
he has been addressing the press.
Based on your question that you asked me,
right.
Who are the people who can take an action? That is why I want everybody to understand that. Under the principle of necessity, even though the head of family is clothed with the powers to go to court, any member can go to court and say that, look, this is being done. The family is not doing anything. The head of family is sitting down concerned. Or the head of family is benefiting from whatever Kwaku is doing.
Okay.
So the court will allow me to prosecute the matter so that the family will take charge of the body of the deceased person. The court will grant him that relief based what the court has come to say as necessity.
Right.
It has become a necessity. There's a general rule that the head of family must lead. But if it is not, then any member of the family, and we have all known since the past 10 years that it is Samuel Atta who has been speaking on this family issue. The son of the late professor speaks occasionally about matters that affect him as a child.
But my time is up. Can the family put an injunction on any private person to stop the person from either openly, publicly celebrating? Can the family
they can
do that?
Yes, it belongs to them. So the family can go to court and injunct anybody who is purporting or beginning to assume that position of the family. The family can injunct that person. They will make a lot of arguments that, look, This is not the way we want to honor the memory of our beloved family member.
Right.
So we think that this is not going on well. So the family can go to court and injunct. And from the posturing of Samuel Atamos and the kind of questions he asks, I will not be surprised. And based on the posturing of Kweku, and from what he has said that they should forget about him, I'm sure in the coming days, things will happen. But I think that somebody should advise Kweku as to how he speaks about the late Atamos vis-a-vis the family. He can do it to the NDC, but not to the family. That one, he should be extremely careful about that. He should exercise a little bit of restraint. And I've said, most of us are also attached to the late professor based on his demeanor, the way he approaches issue, the way he approaches you. Right. So Kweku cannot be using the fact that he worked. He said that the brother didn't work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't come into the equation. And I want to say that if the Atamos was an equation, Kweku Enyidoho wouldn't have featured in this equation. The state will find a place, but Kweku Enyidoho couldn't have featured.
Theophilus Donko, private legal practitioner. I'm grateful for staying with us for the 1 hour. We also heard from Kweku Enyidoho at the Asomdwee Park earlier on, put together by my colleague Henry Wesibedu. I am Anil Fampo. Thank you for your time. We're back tomorrow and Friday as well. Good afternoon.